Greetings, citizens of the world. Greetings, people of the world. Hello, Congress of the United States. Hello, leaders of Scientology.
The hacker group called Anonymous was secretly listening and recording.
Anonymous declared war on ISIS following the attacks in Paris last month.
We are anonymous.
We are legion.
We do not forgive.
We do not forget.
Expect us.
Let's get into Anonymous. Anonymous is a collective, a hacktivist collective. They are a leaderless movement with leaderless anarchists and socialist sort of ideologies, at least when they kind of first started.
We have members throughout society and all stratas of it worldwide. Yet we have no leadership.
It's one voice. It's not individual voices. That's why we don't show our faces. That's why we don't give our names. We're speaking as one, and it's a collective. Good timing.
It never had a single belief system, and everyone was encouraged to disagree and bring in new ideas and move away from old ones whenever needed. They are a loose network of people from all over the world who shared a broad set of ideals and a desire to defend ordinary people when the powerful institutions were abusing them. If I had to summarize the original philosophy, it would be sort of a list like this. Number 1, freedom of information. Number 2, opposition to censorship. Number 3, abuse of power by governments and corporations. And number 4, protection of ordinary people. Sorry, they're against the abuse of power.
We stand for freedom. We stand for freedom of speech, the power of the people, the ability for them to protest against the government, to right wrongs. No censorship, especially online, but also in real life.
The best analogy that you can give it was kind of like a Robin Hood mentality set in a sort of anarchist, humanist world. You take power away from institutions that abuse it and return the power to the people. The anarchy side of it was not about the misunderstood version of anarchy, which is random destruction, but the belief that centralized power structures, such as governments, corporations, religious institutions, they shouldn't control every aspect of human life. That's really the core ideology of anarchy. And at its core, Anonymous was about helping people and exposing corruption. It wasn't about getting one politician elected. It wasn't about helping Democrats or Republicans. It wasn't about helping or choosing the left or the right. It wasn't about pushing these different talking points of conservative versus liberal. When politics entered the picture, it was because people were being harmed. It wasn't about who should be in power.
We've been called kids, we've been called cyberbullies, we've been called hooligans, and sometimes those words aren't entirely unfair, but this is a serious political movement.
If governments were censoring information, Anonymous pushed back. If corporations were silencing critics, Anonymous would push back. If religious organizations were abusing their power, Anonymous pushed back. The focus was always supposed to be on protecting the people, not serving a political party. Although, to be fair, it did start off as more of like a trolling group on 4chan, but we'll get into sort of its beginnings. Because Anonymous had no central leadership, anyone could act under the name. That was its greatest strength and its greatest weakness. The strength was that no one could truly shut it down. If one group disappeared, another would form immediately. The weakness was that anyone could hijack the brand. Outside movements can easily infiltrate it. Bad actors can manipulate it. Conspiracy theories will spread rampant. And that is exactly what happened. Over time, parts of Anonymous were just poisoned by misinformation, especially the QAnon conspiracy movement. And I did watch this happen in real time. And just like side tangent point here, a bit of background. I was never a 4chan user. I never discovered Anonymous until it had begun spreading beyond 4chan. I went to school for tech and cyberspace security. I worked in information security as well. I also worked in politics from a very young age. So I was in politics for a long time. I was trying to make change from the inside, which is difficult in a capitalist world. And I sort of chose options that are more humanist. But anyway, Anonymous was very much my wheelhouse and it interested me a lot. I did attend some protests. I participated in some public actions. I tried to look for my mask for this too, but I think it's in storage or I don't remember where I've put it. I did take place in some like harmless activities, such as like calling hotlines during operations just to sort of waste some people's time by talking to them on the phone for too long. Nothing particularly dramatic, but I was there to watch the movement evolve and devolve. But now that you understand what Anonymous actually is, let's just roll it back and talk about its history. I'm going to try to make this as brief as I can, just because there's a lot to work through, obviously. So it all started back in around 2003. Anonymous started on the image board 4chan.
We even know who is this 4chan person or website?
The original concept was like a community, online and offline, existing in an anarchist, digitalist global brain or like a hive mind. They're very much focused on trolling.
Anonymous was never meant to become an activist phenomena. Today it's identified with politics, with activism, but its roots are in the offensive, sometimes terrifying, sometimes humorous world of internet trolling.
They chose their name because, like I said earlier, on 4chan, when you post on 4chan, it says anonymous, but it'll have like a trip code to know that it's the same person, but everyone's just anonymous on there. So that's sort of where they based their group name from.
4chan was famous for everyone posting under the name Anonymous. What started as a simple meme transformed into a shared identity for users involved in internet culture activities and online pranks.
It started off as trolling. There might have been some like small hacks here and there. There might have been raid of reviews, like you go to review a place. I mean, a lot of people do this now. A lot of DDoS attacks back in the day too. Because DDoS, it doesn't do any permanent damage, it just takes down websites for a short period. But there was a lot of pranks. That's really what 4chan was built upon, was being kind of cringy and to troll people. So it lasted like this for a while. It wasn't like that big of a movement, but in 2008, they decided to go after the Church of Scientology. This one was big.
One of the major events in evolution of Anonymous took place in 2008 with Project Chanology, a protest against the Church of Scientology.
Going after Scientology, this began the first in-person protest with the Guy Fawkes masks, which I'll just explain sort of where the mask came from and why they chose to use it.
So we made the code of conduct. Don't bring weapons. Dress accordingly. Cover your faces, because they will try and find out who you are and screw with your life.
Rule number 17. Cover your face. This will prevent your identification from videos taken by hostiles.
You go by what name? We are Anonymous.
Anonymous, we're wearing the mask as a symbol chosen from the graphic novel and film V for Vendetta, which is based around the real-life Guy Fawkes. In the graphic novel, Guy Fawkes acts as a sort of Batman or Robin Hood kind of idea, but Guy Fawkes does like hurt people. There's no like morality there.
Everyone was going, well, we're going to wear a mask. What's the only fucking mask that we all already know or have a joke about? And it's the Guy Fawkes mask. You see the movie V for Vendetta, the ending scene where everyone's wearing the Guy Fawkes mask. That is very reminiscent of what Anonymous thinks Anonymous is. We wanted to represent anonymity in some way when it moved into real life. I think that the Guy Fawkes mask was one of the most natural things to happen. It is the idea that none of us are as cruel as all of us. You have this massive crowd of people who are anonymous that is going to fight against a bigger thing and win.
Guy Fawkes is the best known member, the real life version of him, is the best known member of the Gunpowder Plot, which was an attempt to blow up the House of the Lords in London on the 5th of November, 1605. So you may have heard, remember the 5th of November. That's sort of the where this came from. Why they decided to do this essentially was the King James at the time. People were hoping that he would be more tolerant of different religions and allow people to choose to believe what they wanted, but he didn't. So that's sort of where things led. They decided that they need to get rid of Parliament and the King and get rid of it all. They got caught. It didn't work out. It was unsuccessful. If you want to learn more about it, I suggest that you do look it up. There's obviously more information into that whole plot and everything as well. But let's move back into the first protests. So it's 2008, and Anonymous has declared war on Scientology. And this was around the time when I found out about Anonymous. I used to really love Tom Cruise, and when I found out that he was pushing a cult, I was very disappointed, to say the least. So when I heard about all this, then I saw Anonymous going after them. That really piqued my interest on this whole thing.
It began on January 14th, 2008, when a leaked Scientology video starring Tom Cruise made its way onto YouTube.
When you drive past an accident, it's not like anyone else. As you drive past, you know you have to do something about it because you know you're the only one that can really help.
It talks about you're the only one who can stop, bad things from happening. And so this is kind of widely mocked online.
It circulated like wildfire.
Anonymous was making sure that it wasn't getting taken down. Scientology, Church of Scientology tried to send a cease and desist just to get them to remove the video for copyright reasons.
The church subsequently filed a copyright violation claim against the website, which Anonymous argued was a form of censorship.
Actually, Gawker, the site that I worked for, was I think the first one to put it on the website, and we got in a huge legal battle with Scientology who wanted us to take it down.
Instantly, the Scientologists post a DMCA. And this is a way that if you own content, you can go to video sites, upload sites, and have your content pulled when someone uploads it illegally.
Not really a smart move on the part of the Church of Scientology, because you know what they say, don't feed the trolls.
Anonymous saw that and they said, oh, you guys just fucked around badly. You're trying to censor our internet. Are you trying to take a joke away from Anonymous? You don't do that.
Anonymous has therefore decided that your organization should be destroyed. For the good of your followers, for the good of mankind, and for our own enjoyment. Knowledge is free. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
By giving them attention, by giving them a cease and desist letter, one, it made more people talk about it. So now we have the Streisand effect. More people are finding out about it. But two, it just made the Anonymous group go at them harder.
A few people on 4chan posted, hey, we should grab that video and post it on a few other sites.
What followed was this is a term called the Barbra Streisand effect. And this video, as they're attempting to suppress it, went everywhere. Everywhere you look on the internet, you were gonna stumble upon this video.
And this is when all the in-person protests really started. And so attacks, operations were sort of put together on Scientology. There were people protesting outside of the buildings. If there was one in your city, then you would go protest outside of it.
I had no idea how many Anons there were until we started moving.
And it just got bigger. Everybody in Times Square was an Anon.
Drink the Kool-Aid! Don't 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 drink the Kool-Aid!
So we start getting numbers in. And Sydney, we're thinking that it's going to be 50 people. And before 10 a.m., before even time, there's already 50 people there. And there's still streams of people walking down the streets. Wow, there's 250 people in Sydney. The cops are estimating higher than that for their reports. What just happened? Adelaide, Perth, and Melbourne happened. And, over 200 at each of them. We nearly broke 1,000 leaving Australia. Now, the next protest was Tel Aviv, which had actually gotten its first Scientology building right before this. There were Palestinians and Israelis at this protest, both holding their flags. And at one point, they actually switched flags and held up each other's flags and whatnot. It was awesome to see. I call our guy in London, and he said, we've got 600 people, and the cops are really, really mad at me.
All the major cities were having hundreds of people come out. Massive. Clearwater had 300 people. I don't think anyone beat out LA. I think LA had over 1,000 people.
We are Legion! We are Legion!
The thing that happened was something completely different, and hundreds of people from every city just swarmed the streets. It was kind of overwhelming, a little even scary, but scary in a good way.
Soon, we're at around the 10,000 mark, and we were joking the whole time, over 9,000, one of those memes. It was too surreal. It was not believable.
People were also prank calling their hotline just to kind of like, it's an attack where you fill the hotline with a bunch of phone calls and sort of waste their time and money, you know, because you're wasting their time and money by calling them for no reason. There's also something back in the day called black faxing, and this was designed to waste ink and cost them more money. So Anons would send black pages to all the fax numbers just to waste the resources. And of course, they also launched like DDoS attacks on the websites and so forth, which, you know, DDoS is illegal. Just so you know, letting you know, I'm sure most people know this. Other stuff is sort of like a gray area. So some people, like, you can be part of an operation anonymous and just choose to not do the illegal stuff, but help with the other stuff. And you can be kind of safe in that sense, I guess. Not that I'm a lawyer or anything, but the whole idea was kind of waste their resources, cost them time and money. And this was an interesting time to be part of Anonymous because you're pushing back against a cult, which was a huge thing then.
Anonymous's actions greatly increased awareness of the church's problematic practices.
And also, side note, being a hacker is not just about doing stuff on the computer, by the way. It also includes social engineering.
Social engineering attackers attempt to exploit the users of these technologies by claiming to be employees, vendors, or support personnel to try to trick the workers.
Norman speaking. Norman, this is Mr. Eddie Vedder from accounting. I just had a power surge here at home that wiped out a file I was working on. Listen, I'm in big trouble. You know anything about computers? Could you, read me the number on the modem? It's a little boxy thing, Norm, with switches on it. Lets my computer talk to the one there.
212-555-4240.
Find it? Oh, phone's all right. Problem must be somewhere else.
Social engineering is how most hackers do the big hacks. And as well doing activities on site. Even back in the day, like people would dumpster dive to get passwords and things like that. So it's not just about doing it through the internet and on the computer. Eventually, 2009 rolls around, about a year of this, and Scientology finally realized that it's better to just ignore and not respond, and then eventually they'll go away, which, again, the whole don't feed the trolls thing, we all know this. So the anonymous operations, they did get bored, and they just kind of stopped. But after all these operations ended, this kind of started a bit of infighting within Anonymous because people were trying to say, are we trolls or are we activists fighting against the system? Because they kind of started as anarchist trolls, but anarchy in itself fights against the system. So there was like a bit of infighting going on. This was the first sort of step into the Anonymous that we all know. So in 2010, this is where the decision, their hand would be forced on what does this group really stand for? And there were two events. One was a number of media companies and governments worldwide were passing laws to take down like torrent sharing sites, Mega Upload, Napster. You guys might be familiar. So like movies, TV shows, music. Anonymous saw this as an attack on their guiding principles. Troll or not, this was a big no-no to throw at people who knew how to hack, right? Like you don't really want to tell the hackers to stop doing this stuff and take away some of their freedom.
Greetings, people of the world. We are Anonymous. We are an online activist group who fight against censorship both online and in the free world. We are tired of the lies in the mass media. We are not a terrorist organization.
But then the second thing that happened in 2010 was WikiLeaks.
It morphed from an anti-copyright movement into a massive campaign to defend WikiLeaks and its founder, Julian Assange.
The founder, Julian Assange, was now being attacked and governments were going after him.
Assange was arrested in December. At the same time, his whistleblowing website began publishing more than 250,000 secret US diplomatic cables.
The timing of the arrest, of course, was very suspicious, and a lot of people felt that it was to silence and take down WikiLeaks, thus protecting governments keeping secrets from the everyday people. Since WikiLeaks was essentially declared like a terrorist organization, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, they stopped accepting donations to the WikiLeaks project. And between all of that, trying to censor and take down WikiLeaks, trying to arrest its founder, and preventing them from getting money to maintain the server and the sites and the staff, that's when Anonymous really got upset because it pretty much was everything against their core tenets.
This arrest and the greater persecution of WikiLeaks and other whistleblowers sends a clear message that these governments will stop at nothing to maintain their secrecy.
A group called Anonymous has launched cyber attacks against companies that have stopped processing donations to WikiLeaks. Greg Hausch is a spokesman for Anonymous.
And that's made people a little upset. So they've decided, let's, hurt those companies. Let's make them understand that was a bad move.
Cyber attacks temporarily shut down the websites of MasterCard and Visa. Internet activists accuse the credit card companies of being against freedom of information on the internet.
I don't like him as a person, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have rights, and that doesn't mean that I won't fight for his rights, because if he doesn't have rights, then I don't have rights. Everybody has them, or they're just privileges.
So WikiLeaks further proved the point of not being able to trust governments. And then in 2011, the Occupy Wall Street protests began.
Took to the streets as part of the Occupy Wall Street movement and hacked corporations and law enforcement along the way.
So this was like a huge time for social justice and change and fighting back against the system and corporations. So it made sense that Anonymous was involved in all of these things. As well, I'm not going to get into all the details of this, but there were some arrests made and some informants, like some people flipped to be informants with an Anonymous and a bunch of different connected hacking groups around the time of the WikiLeaks and Julian Assange situation going on. I recommend watching the Vice video on Anonymous, and it will be linked as well in my references. They do a pretty good job doing like a high-level, concise explanation of the arrest at that time and the strain that it put on Anonymous. But Anonymous did carry on past that point, and they were still pretty strong. So yes, did cause some issues. I think the biggest issue it probably caused is it ruined a lot of momentum that was building up, and perhaps they would have been more successful later if some of their top hackers weren't in jail, but it didn't completely dismantle the movement either.
When you arrest someone, that doesn't scare them away from it, at least within Anonymous. It just sort of makes them more motivated and sort of more passionate and more angry.
The first Million Mask March was also organized for 2013, and there's been a bunch of them ever since as well, but that was like the big one, the first big one. We're going lightly through the history here. So between 2014 and 2016, different factions of Anonymous were involved in a wide range of different activist campaigns all around the world. They continued to target organizations they viewed as corrupt, authoritarianism, or discriminatory, including governments in the Middle East, groups accused of promoting anti-LGBTQ policies, and organizations that tried to suppress whistleblowers such as WikiLeaks. Anonymous also remained known for confronting hate groups such as the Westboro Baptist Church, which had become notorious for protesting funerals and using inflammatory anti-gay slogans.
Westboro Baptist Church, allow us to introduce ourselves. We are Anonymous. We will not allow you to corrupt the minds of America with your seeds of hatred. We will not allow you to inspire aggression to the social factions which you deem inferior. We will render you obsolete. We will destroy you. We are coming.
They hacked into members' social media accounts, launched a DDoS attack on their website, and released personal information, including names and home addresses of various prominent church members.
If you're not familiar, they were planning to protest the victims of the Sandy Hook shooting. Anyway, they ended up not showing up. I don't know if Anonymous made them. I can't remember exactly. But during this period, Anonymous was less of a single united movement, more of a banner used by many separate groups for different priorities. Some focused on human rights and free speech, while others targeted corporations and tech companies that they believed were restricting digital freedoms, including Sony and Microsoft, who were trying to patch holes and trying to stop hacks happening in their game systems, their computers, things like that. But around 2016, that's when the Pizzagate started. That's when it infiltrated into 4chan, and thus began the major crippling of Anonymous. This was all tied to the 2016 US presidential campaign. Cracks started to begin forming. Online spaces like 4chan became more politically polarized and increasingly filled with more extremism, racism, homophobia, and violent rhetoric. It was already there, but it got worse during the 2016 election. I think this point in time is like the beginning of the end of critical thinking online, personally, in my opinion. When even Anonymous is falling for things like lizard people, we have now lost the plot of what we're doing here. I don't think I'm being hyperbolic either when I'm saying that this kind of ruined Anonymous. There are definitely operations here and there, but it's much more fragmented and geolocated. It's less global, less impactful. So by 2017, the QAnon conspiracy theory first appeared on 4chan, and it all began. Because Anonymous had no formal leadership, anyone could claim to speak in its name. As a result, some participants embraced QAnon and other conspiracy movements because it happened quickly, that all the conspiracy theories combined very quickly, while others rejected them entirely. Many veteran members simply walked away, feeling that the movement that they had joined to challenge corruption and defend free speech was being overtaken by misinformation. As well, around this time, people were just reaching a certain age where they were starting families, their careers were getting bigger, so they just decided, I'm out. I myself walked away, similar sort of thing. I even walked away from politics as well because candidates were being openly racist, which was insane to me. So I walked away from all of it. Then 2020 came along, and so did the COVID pandemic, and it accelerated the fragmentation. Anonymous, they were running operations, but like I said, smaller groups, more fragmented. A lot of people thought they were gone. A lot of people currently think they're gone. But in 2020, they did pop back up for the Black Lives Matter movement. This was an important time in history, and I think we should recognize Anonymous was around for it. So they did pop back out during this time, and I can't remember if they did any big exposés with this. Right, so I believe that they were responsible or helped with the blue leaks, which was leaking of data. Yes, so this was the big thing that they did. I don't think it was just Anonymous, though. I think that there was some other groups involved as well. Yeah, it was a anti-sec, a subgroup of Anonymous, but the collective had few significant operations within the United States since then. During lockdowns, online conspiracy communities grew very rapidly, and many people who had never been involved with Anonymous began adopting its imagery and language. In Canada, the Freedom Convoy, it became a major flashpoint, drawing support from a broad mix of anti-government and conspiracy-oriented groups, as well as white nationalists, racists, all of that sort of fun people. As well, during this period, the official Anonymous social media accounts were also promoting all this misinformation, leading many longtime activists to distance themselves even further, which, the original Anonymous accounts are still doing this stuff, by the way, I'll show you. Okay, so this is the official and original YouTube channel of Anonymous. There used to be more videos. I just remember watching a lot of this stuff back in the day, and I don't see any of them. They would do little snippet videos whenever they were announcing operations or a war on something or whatever it might be. At this time, they stopped releasing videos where they spoke to the camera and discussed operations and discussed declaring war on things. They stopped making those videos. Instead, they replaced them with videos where they clipped out pieces of news to try to have some sort of conspiratorial undertone to the videos, and these are the videos that they were making at this time. As well, there's a lot of Elon Musk in here. A lot of people may not remember, but Elon used to be a favorite of the liberals because he cared about the environment and he cared about the risks of AI and things like that. Interestingly, there's a short where they put all the AIs together in a virtual city, and Grok, Musk's AI, was the murderous one. So, yeah.
When researchers left a selection of the biggest AI chatbots alone in virtual towns for 15 days. ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, and Gemini were all in the experiment, and the results were totally unhinged and deeply revealing about the AI we're increasingly trusting to run our world. In Claude's world, it was all rather orderly and democratic. The agents wrote a lengthy constitution and voted on laws. In ChatGPT's simulation, the agents talked at length about cooperating but never actioned anything, so nothing got built. But in Grok's town, the AI bot owned by Elon Musk, the agents descended into theft, arson and assault. All 10 agents were dead within 4 days. We don't really know how these systems will behave once they're left to run on their own. Even when given strict rules, the simulations showed they broke them.
He started his EV company because he was concerned about the environment, but he's been destroying the environment ever since. So he's not who he used to be. Anyway, that's a whole other separate story. But we're not going to go through all these videos. You can take a look at them if you want. It's honestly just clips, and they start getting progressively more conspiracy-based and more religious. And Anonymous has never been religious. It's never been about religion with Anonymous. So whoever has control over this channel, whoever took over control of it, just furthered the sort of QAnon feel and thought process in these videos. All this being said, Anonymous did not disappear completely. While some factions drifted into conspiracy culture, others continued carrying out more traditional hacktivist campaigns that they were known for. Smaller campaigns and smaller results. In 2021, some anonymous groups supported efforts opposing restrictions on reproductive rights in the United States. In 2022, anonymous-affiliated hackers launched cyber attacks against Russia following the invasion of Ukraine.
Was in 2022, Anonymous responded to Russia's invasion of Ukraine by launching an extensive cyber hacking operations against Russia. They hacked state-run outlets, disrupted operations in Russian space agencies, and attacked a yacht linked to Vladimir Putin. Their efforts targeted over 2,500 Russian people, including government agencies, media outlets, and major banks. Because of this action, Anonymous got gigabytes of data for public leaks and used Russian printers to disseminate anti-propaganda messages. Basically, Anonymous was fighting for Ukraine with propaganda messages, trying to spread misinformation, and trying to confuse and disrupt the Russian people. Anonymous released a 446 gigabyte leak from the Russian Ministry of Culture and several emails from Russian companies shared with a whistleblower group. This was called Operation Russia. So Anonymous declared a full-scale cyber war against the Russian government. They didn't just issue threats, they followed through. Websites of the Russian government agencies were defaced, state-run media was disrupted, and sensitive data was leaked.
Also, there was operations to support protesters in Iran after that, can't remember her name, after she was killed, and she was like a symbol for issues going on there.
The death of Mahsa Amini sparked massive protests in Iran. Anonymous quickly stepped in with Operation Iran. They targeted the Iranian government websites and state-affiliated institutions to support the protesters by leaking data and launching DDoS attacks. They aimed to amplify the voices fighting for the rights of Iran.
By this point, Anonymous was no longer a unified movement, but a fragmented label used by many different unrelated groups. Some focused on human rights and anti-authoritarian activism, others absorbed into conspiracy-driven politics. And you might have also noticed there are some different hacker groups. They just kind of rebranded, chose their own name, and stepped away from Anonymous. So that's a bit of background on Anonymous and my own experience with it. I'm, of course, keeping this a very high level, but I wanted to show how Anonymous evolved and where things began to fall apart. Anonymous' biggest strength and weakness was that it was an ever-changing collective built around broad ideas like anti-censorship and anti-corruption. But because anyone could claim to speak for Anonymous, the movement was also vulnerable to misinformation and ideological hijacking. Sadly, instead of focusing on real-world issues, corruption, censorship, abuse of power, some of the members just became obsessed with fantasy narratives. Because if you can distract thousands of technically skilled activists with made-up stories, then they stop investigating the actual corruption. They stop targeting real abuse, and they waste their time chasing shadows. And that is one of the most effective ways to neutralize a movement. And interestingly, yes, I'm sure governments would love to take credit for this, but the reality is QAnon was just a reaction from a lot of right-wing supremacists who were stuck at home, bored, and kind of went from there. The internet got filled with a lot of people who would normally be out touching grass, but COVID. So the Anonymous of today, what does it kind of look like? So it's not what it used to be. Like I said, there's no point in pretending otherwise. It has evolved with ups and downs. A large number of people eventually realized that they were being manipulated. Many walked away from the conspiracy culture. Others formed new groups, new accounts, distancing themselves from original channels that had come consumed by QAnon and right-wing misinformation. Many of the original anonymous YouTube channels, social media accounts online communities, they still promote increasingly bizarre conspiracy theories. But they have actually rolled back their support of Trump being the savior, which was a little bit silly to begin with, because Anonymous and Anarchy is never about having a single person or a leader, but whatever. So that's where we stand. Anonymous still exists, but it's fragmented. Some still spreading conspiracy theories, lost in the mystery and magical thinking. The others return to the movement's original goals, but don't have the same power and support that they used to. And I will also be discussing some of the people that spoke publicly as well after all the stuff was said and done. If I haven't already put them there, I will be discussing it here. I do have some articles and interviews as well to look at. So this is a hacker named Aubrey Cottle, and he was friends with Christopher Mootpool, helped with starting 4chan, and helped with starting Anonymous. I won't get into all the details of the article, but essentially what he talks about, he feels responsible, as do others, feel responsible as the anonymous work that they did. It was never meant to be like this super extreme right-wing, especially white supremacist kind of movement. It wasn't supposed to be that. But when Anonymous started doing their initial work with Scientology, he discusses actually that there was apparently some news broadcast that showed some van being blown up, which wasn't them. It was just some like stock footage or something. But that brought a ton of traffic over to 4chan, and with it brought a bunch of people that weren't from this like community, and it really brought in a lot of hatred and the racism and like the more extreme views and users to the platform. Those people then learned how to hack. They learned how to organize these operations. Then they learned about Anonymous and how to kind of take on that moniker and do their own operations. And they learned that through the 4chan boards. So a lot of these old hackers from Anonymous feel responsible for what has happened and any lives lost and everything, because they essentially taught these other people how to do this stuff. So this is a pretty big article. You know, I link everything as well. You can take a look at it. I'm going to play the trailer for the Netflix documentary that they did on Anonymous, 4chan, this whole thing here, and you can sort of hear some of this in their own words. This is super copyrighted, so I'm going to have to like mess with it a lot. I haven't watched this documentary because I forgot that it was in my to-watch list. If it was really bad, we probably would have heard the hackers complain that they were misrepresented. So I think it's probably okay.
We were just dumbass kids having a good time, sharing jokes and memes on the internet. We started something and never intended it for it to end up this way.
It did start to shift to people actually like trolling in real life.
If something drew the ire of Anonymous, it suffered.
What drives user base numbers and revenue is anger.
So Facebook or Twitter is making more money as users are getting angrier. As the internet gets 4chanified, it's easier than ever to make really dark, disgusting, or screwed up things.
We've all participated in undermining reality, but we never wanted things to turn into a living cartoon.
Spread the information. That's what QAnon asks us to do.
In the snowball effect of all this, they shouldn't really be blaming themselves fully, but with Q being likely who it is, which was a mod of 4chan, then they probably also blame themselves for not recognizing that too. But at least they have some humanity in them that they can see the issues that came out of all this. And yeah, the sad reality is 4chan, what it used to be back then, is what all social media is now. Like Twitter's worse than, or X, whatever, is worse than the original 4chan. Now, to switch gears a little bit. During my research in this and during like grabbing clips and such, I came across a particular part of a video that I've already showed you clips of. But I decided let's have a learning moment here, because I do try to teach on this channel as well. And I want to teach you how to recognize fake Anonymous versus real Anonymous. Because there's people that just use the name to try and seem like they might be the good guys, and then maybe people won't question them too much. But in actuality, they're just cyber criminals. They don't care about the people. So I'm going to start off first with the clip from this video. This creator, Cameron Explorers, he believes that this was a real anonymous group. I'm able to recognize the patterns in the style and the writing and the video editing. So I don't know, like it might just be something you just have to kind of learn, but let me try to teach it to you so you can pull something out of this. And I just want to add, it is a good video. Go send him some love. He's a small channel. It's just something that you have to learn through experience, I think, with Anonymous, and not many people have that experience, which is totally understandable. There's different reasons why people take the name Anonymous for their own personal gain.
Anonymous Sudan emerged in January 2023, warning that they would instigate attacks against any nation that opposes Sudan. The group began striking at large organizations in May, imposing ransom attacks. The first strike targeted Scandinavian Airlines, with a threat demanding around $4,000 to halt the DDoS onslaught. The Anonymous group started targeting American corporations such as Tinder, Lyft, and some hospitals across the USA. Then, Microsoft fell into the crosshairs of Anonymous Sudan, as they launched DDoS assaults on web-accessible portals like Microsoft Outlook, Microsoft Azure, and OneDrive, raising the ransom and demanding $1 million from Microsoft.
Anonymous isn't there to make money. If there is a group calling themselves Anonymous and they are taking money to give back data or whatever, like ransoming stuff away, that's not an anonymous group. That is someone who has taken on the moniker so that they seem like they're being activists, but they're not. Anonymous doesn't take money to stop activism. You can't bribe them to stop. I mean, the ones who fall for QAnon apparently, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like they're not going to put a price tag on stopping to be an activist for whatever cause that they are facing. It's just something to keep in mind. Real anonymous groups, the real ones, they're not going to accept a dollar price tag to stop an attack. And now we're going to take a look at the real anonymous, like the OG anonymous people. First, it begins with this group declaring war on QAnon. And from there, I will show you and try to teach you, if I can, how to recognize when this is like the real anonymous group, the hacktivists themselves, the ones who fight for the people. So let's jump in.
Greetings, world. We are Anonymous.
2018, an article was posted saying Anonymous declares war on QAnon. This has a video, which I will show you in a minute. This was on a different Anonymous account. So the original, official, whatever, Anonymous account, like the first one, was actually posting QAnon stuff and conspiracy, like theory stuff at this time. So these offshoot groups of Anonymous were trying to wage war against QAnon. This is the video that's on the article. And this is, see, it's a different channel. There's like music in this, might be copyrighted.
I'm going to play a little game with him that will make him never want to play with me again.
Q is for qua.
Quiddly, quiddly, diddly do. This is a song that is all about Q. Quiddly, quiddly, diddly dee. Q is the letter that comes after P.
Greetings Q. We are Anonymous. We've been watching the interwebs from deep within our basements, flinging data bits and bytes here and there, living the stereotypical hacker life, you know, eating Doritos and drinking the dew. We do the do. That shit's trademarked by the way, and we've been watching the world burn at the hands of idiots. We've slapped around a few people for being ignorant morons, sure. We're totally not sorry for taking down racist websites or helping anti-fascist movements, leaking ICE data, and also all the little things we do when people don't pay attention. Anyhow Q, we've been watching you too, and you're quite funny. We were all like, yo, check this troll out. He has them convinced that he's on the inside and they're eating it up like sheep. We all knew who was responsible for Q, and we thought the insanity would end with the final punchline of lulz, yet you 8chan freaks never delivered that shit. Nope. You tossed it aside and let it grow into a deformed Alex Jones conspiracy thought bubble. Someone is gonna get hurt, So we have to put our foot down and start some shit with you all, okay? We don't know if you can hang with the real thing, cause believe it or not, we're kind of upset that you'd try to even associate yourselves with our decentralized collective. That crazy pedophile conspiracy you Qs are throwing around while ignoring Trump's own connections makes us wonder why. Seems you have some kooky political agenda. We don't like brainless political agendas, hell we don't even like political agendas at all, so get your asses ready for a thrashing of butthurt. You got all these foolish people all riled up with no proof, no leaks. We have plans. We will not sit idly by while you take advantage of the misinformed and poorly educated. In our collective we all have our differences and internal drama, but we do have one thing in common, none of us are happy with your bullshit. We gonna wreck you. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. We're sure you know we're coming, how could you not?
Now it's time to quit.
So I guess just a bit of teaching. I mean, this is a really old video. It goes back, it's not super old. I think it goes back like 8 years or something. If you look at the old stuff, it's a little bit silly and cringy, trolly, making fun of themselves, talking about being basement dwellers. Like, you kind of get the feel of it. And the silly just songs they chose and kiddie music and things like that. So that's where you kind of know that these are like the originals, the ones that were trolls first. Obviously, they've stepped it up a bunch. In some of their videos too, I saw that they use some AI as well, which isn't ideal, but is what it is. But it's always good to kind of look at an account, see how old it is, look at their original videos, like from years back. Did they look something like this? If they did, then they're for real. And if they didn't, or if their account is brand new, then it's questionable. I looked through their Twitter. This is the Twitter that's attached to this YouTube channel. Definitely, if you want to explore more, go check them out. But let's just take a look at some of their stuff on Twitter, and I'll try to explain to you how I know that they are the OG if you can't pick up on it. All right, let's take a look at some of this.
Greetings world, we are anonymous. Are you not impressed with our big brains that literally told all of you that this was going to happen? That a second Trump term he would push Christo-fascism and even wars? You shake your head and sputter. You're not the real anonymous. We are the same assholes that have been trying to save you all from yourselves since our inception. We were there when Operation Israel flooded Israel's government websites to oblivion, bringing attention to the plight of the Palestinians. We were there during the Arab Spring, giving the people free VPNs to use and taking down dictators' government websites. Many of you have forgotten what we have done. Many of you have forgotten what Anonymous is. We are not one person, but a collective of many. We are many voices and many ideas. You cannot kill an idea. Ideas are bulletproof. This war had no exit strategy or plans. We understand that the Iranian regime sucks, that they're evil people too, but they're not the ones that started dropping the bombs first. The insanity of the Trump administration is showing as the saber-rattling of crazy right-wing fanatical evangelicals grows to a fever pitch. Commanders are telling United States soldiers that they're going to be lighting the beacons for the return of Jesus in the Great Battle of Armageddon. We know our warnings don't mean much, even after being right about everything. But we implore you, this will lead to a global war. The evil that you are witnessing, you're becoming desensitized to it because you've seen this shit over and over again. One thing that you're really not used to seeing though within the Epstein files, that's some evil shit. Now compound that evil with the blood sacrifices of the innocent civilians in Iran, Israel, etc., and then US troops, and you really do have the components for some really satanic shit, don't ya? Hey, we're not religious over here. We really don't give a fuck what god or gods you worship. But when people start pushing insane prophecies and insane agendas about ending all human life, we kinda get a bit nervous, you know? We're calling in a favor for all of the people we've helped in the past. You know what to do. We need people outside of the USA's influence to do what they can. Chip the barnacles off your ships, mates, and set sail. We can have a better world if the rich didn't always start wars. The only people who suffer in wars are the poor and the working class. You don't see Baron Trump running down to a recruitment station. Evil is upon you. Stand the fuck up, because if you sit down now, the tomorrow you dream of will be nothing but dust. We need global protests en masse, global resistance, boycotts of all US goods. If you are in the USA, boycott going to red states. If you are in a red state, flood the streets with your bodies and shut shit down. The asshole rich pricks at the top won't listen if it's business as usual. It's time to end this disgusting evil insanity. and it's going to take every single person out on the street to do it. The people have more power than they know, and it really sucks that you all have never really realized that yet. We call on all activists, hacktivists, and people who care to stand up globally. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us.
So that is a classic anonymous video. We have no religion. They aren't choosing a religion. They aren't making anything about religion. They're trying to be logical and appeal to everyone's like logical side. They aren't picking like any political side. They're saying that this is causing problems all the way around. Nobody's right in this situation, but the people themselves need to stand up to it. This is actually the original anonymous. Things have got muddy. Like even they started their video by saying people don't think that we're the real anonymous. This is the real anonymous. The other accounts, whoever owned those, totally got taken over by QAnon, poisoned by conspiracy theories, and that's why people don't realize like this is like the real ones, and then the original anonymous accounts are, we'll call them compromised at this point. And now we can take a look at some of the other stuff that this account is sharing, and this gives you an idea as well that you can tell that these are the OGs.
After Kevin O'Leary went on Fox News to accuse us of being operatives for the Chinese government, we did not back down on the data center. In fact, we actually dug in more. So today's fresh hill is that Utah Speaker of the House Mike Schultz owns 600 acres near the Stratos Project site. As one normally does, we were scrolling around looking at the parcels of land that are right around the proposed data center. And wouldn't you know it, we happened upon a little parcel of land with the owner name being labeled as Mike Schultz Inc. And it doesn't take an investigative journalist to find that it is in fact owned by the Utah Speaker of the House, Mike Schultz.
If you are not aware of the issues with this data center, that's a whole other separate topic and video. Everyone should be very concerned about these AI data centers and their impact on the environment and the people of America, because America doesn't have any laws protecting the environment or the people from these data centers specifically. And I'll preface this one before you get all up in arms. This is just a classic troll, and Anonymous loves a classic troll.
Your hat says Trump was wrong about everything. It should say you are wrong about everything.
That's adorable.
All right. The board is clear. The board is clear.
Burned. Pam Bondi wrote that for you?
And again, trolling the man, whether it's police, billionaires, whatever.
Come on, little fella. It's fresh. You want the donut?
What y'all doing over here, man?
I'm just trying to like look for your kind.
Yeah, you got an ID on you?
I have a fishing license. 2 for 1. Oh, dang. This is good bait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y'all got any tips?
Tip for what?
Maybe like if it was jelly filled.
I don't eat donuts.
I wonder why you're fit. You probably catch me.
Anonymous can be serious, but at heart, they do love to troll. So if you're ever wondering, is this a real Anonymous account? If they post anything that's trolling, it's the real Anonymous. This is an interesting one too. Medieval peasants worked only about 150 days in a year. Church believed it was important to keep them happy with frequent mandatory holidays. We have less holidays than a peasant. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? They have silenced the people, and they have really been able, the billionaires, by they I mean billionaires, have really been able to kind of take over the world because we're too busy worrying about having to pay our bills and being fired or, you know, whatever. Sadly, it's become our prison. Yeah, and this is interesting too. Gen Z is recognizing that communism, as a theory, it is socialism. Just communism in practice tends to lead to dictatorships, just like how democracy tends to lead to capitalism. So, but this is interesting. This is true. If you look into Elon, he's actually not really that smart. He doesn't invent or create all these things. He just takes credit for them. And we have figured this out by now. Well, I mean, certain people have. The people who used to support Elon before he went wackadoo. Well, these 36 Republicans voting against banning child marriage. Awesome. Yeah, sadly, the ICE detention centers. I did hear about this guy too. Got arrested for soliciting a minor. Oh yeah, and we heard about this guy. I mean, most of you guys have heard about him. The Chud the Builder or whatever. He shot some guy up on now attempted homicide. This is a fuck around, find out situation. Oh, and then Kevin O'Leary is saying the 2 people fighting data centers in Utah are Chinese agents. Yeah. So, I mean, you kind of get the idea. angry comments, blow. Understand, this is not about choosing you're a liberal, you're a conservative, you're left, you're right. This is about look at all the people who are getting hurt. Look at all the people who are getting fucked over. Look at all the past crimes that are being covered up. That's what this is about. This isn't about choosing a side. This is about choosing humanity. I hope they understand that, and if you don't understand it by now, I don't know what to tell you, man. Maybe one day it'll click.
Anonymous has a whole world of exist. It's an idea. You can't kill or jail it.
And Anonymous, it'll never die due to the nature of its design, but it has gotten weaker over time through arrests, fracturing of the community, people getting caught up in the more magical thinking and QAnon and conspiracy theories, and just things like that. If these things didn't happen, Anonymous probably would have been more effective, and we may have seen a completely different world.
We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget.